This episode of Techzilla is sponsored by Bex, different by choice, Domain.com, and Gobi, global mobile internet powered by Qualcomm. Coming up on today's show, top tips for speeding up BitTorrent. Sometimes you need a new ISP. $200 GPS Roundup, and there are some nice options that Patrick has. Triple-core processors, Vista OS X file sharing, and our favorite mouse ever. So pop open that box of nerds, toss back a few, and start sucking, because Techzilla starts now.
Welcome to Techzilla. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
My new favorite study ever came out.
Your new favorite study?
Yeah, you know how like a government agency does a study and something is revealed? This is awesome. United Kingdom, texting while driving is more dangerous than drink driving. That's the Times Online in the UK saying drink driving, not me. It must be a British thing like
drink driving.
Aluminium. In any case, the article, it's like, I was like, drink driving, and then you start reading, anyhow, the article, I'm just so excited. It's a delightful read. It says, the Transport Research Laboratory found, I quote, that motorists who use their mobile phone to send text messages while on the road dramatically increase the likelihood of collision. Their reaction times deteriorated by 35%, which is considerably worse than those who drank alcohol at the legal limit, who were 12% slower, or those who had taken cannabis, who were 21% slower. It's crazy.
I'm surprised, but also not that surprised, because I mean, you're totally putting all your attention on something like in your hand, like la 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 la. I mean, I see people doing that on the road, or I've caught a few people doing it in the car before and been like, put that thing away. What are you mentally? You're gonna get us all killed.
You're gonna kill everyone.
I still see people in California on their phones.
Certainly
and
not me.
Sometimes I point at them angrily.
I'm
like, you're breaking the law, breaking the law.
That $20 fine.
I'm such a tattle. I'm so bad.
Do you like dial 911?
I text 911 while I'm driving. No, I'm just kidding.
That's scary.
I don't have a car, so.
Texting while you drive or browsing the internet on your iPhone or entering in info on your GPS is more dangerous than driving drunk or stoned.
That's amazing.
You know what's really amazing?
What?
They did a related survey. Half of the residents in the United Kingdom between 18 and 24 had texted while driving.
I'm not surprised. Like I said, I mean, people are just kind of used to it. I mean, they probably do it a lot while they're in traffic, maybe, I'm hoping. Yeah. That it's not going 80 down the highway. But who knows? But hey, the first Android phone, big news today anyway.
Is it in people's hands, or has it been announced?
It's been announced. They gave all the specs and everything for it. It's coming out later this month.
Are you
next month.
Dump
no,
your
it's
iPhone
not.
and get
It's not
one?
October yet. It's coming out the end of October.
You gonna dump your iPhone and get one?
No, I mean, I left T-Mobile to go to AT&T to get the iPhone. I can't go back to T-Mobile now. I can't be such a
And don't anybody
switcheroony
working for AT&T out there, don't take this the wrong way. You didn't leave T-Mobile for AT&T. You left T-Mobile for the iPhone.
I left T-Mobile for the iPhone. And I was actually, I just have to do a little digression here, because the phone call that I had with the T-Mobile rep was one of the saddest phone calls I have ever had with a person in my life.
Where you had like the customer retention person?
So I call him up and I'm like, hey, I was just wondering, you know, I know my contract is up pretty soon, and I wanted to see how many days I had left. And it was the day the iPhone came out. It was like that June 6th or something. And she was like, oh, you getting an iPhone? And I was like, I was literally in the parking lot of the Apple store down on the peninsula. And she was like, oh, you're getting an iPhone? Are you getting an iPhone? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, okay, well, is there anything we can do to convince you to stay? And I'm like, it's not you guys. You guys are great. I love your service. You have the best customer service of almost any company I've ever worked with. And she's like, oh, thank you. That's very sweet. And I'm like, yeah, it's the iPhone, though. Gotta get the iPhone. She understood. So I had to, after I bought the iPhone, I had to wait a couple weeks to get it anyway. But anyway. The G1 coming to T-Mobile. It's going to be, you know, only on T-Mobile for now, but it looks as though it'll probably be unlockable in the future. It's got the whole, you know, the GPS, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, just like the iPhone, which is good. It's got copy-paste, which a lot of iPhone users are really, you know, kind of teed off about, that the iPhone doesn't really have legitly yet. But it's only in forms. You can't like highlight things in a web page and then copy that.
That's kind of a bummer.
But that could change in the future.
Does it have MMS, another thing that iPhone users whine about?
You know, off the top of my head,
included?
I probably, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that one, because that's one thing I forgot to check on.
With the video player, what was going on with that?
It doesn't have a video player standard, but you can get one with one of the apps from Market, which is like their equivalent of the App Store.
Market.
But the interface looks pretty good. I mean, the interface isn't bad, but a lot of people are complaining because it's kind of it's a bulkier device than the iPhone is. Obviously, it's got a slide-out keyboard and everything, so you can actually have tactile feedback for everything you're doing. You have a real keyboard, which a lot of people have always wanted. So you can also buy music on Amazon too. That has nothing to do with the keyboard. That's just another feature. You can buy music on Amazon. You know, the 89 cents DRM-free tracks. But what sucks about that is that there's a non-standard headphone jack on this thing.
Just like the original iPhone.
Non-standard proprietary HTC headphone USB port.
Ew.
So you have to get a little crappy dongle that hangs off the side of your phone to connect to your regular headphones. I hate that!
That's weird, because I've owned HTC phones, and they seem to do some really good hardware engineering. That I don't get.
There's one HTC phone that does have a standard headphone jack. The name is escaping me right now. But it's just not something that a lot of companies seem to do sometimes. But I'm like, if you're a phone that wants to be a music phone that's competing with the iPhone, you gotta at least have that. And a lot of people have been saying, yeah, well, the iPhone had the recessed headphone jack. It's kind of non-standard. I'm like, no, it's still a standard headphone jack. It just was poorly positioned.
Unless you like whittle the plastic or drill.
As you know. So what do you think about it? Are you gonna give it a shot? I mean, you've got an iPhone.
I just got my new iPhone to replace the iPhone that was murdered by baby drool, so I'm good. I've spent all the money I'm spending on phones for a very long time.
Now, do you think this is a phone that the mass market is going to adopt, or do you think this is a geek phone? Because it's kind of like it's an open platform kind of deal. I mean, it works with all your Gmail stuff. It doesn't have Exchange support either.
I think it'll be basically everybody running Google Chrome, and everybody's running like it's a geek phone.
It's a geek
for
phone.
now. In 6 months, who knows where it could be.
It's not a bad price though, $179. I mean, that's not terrible for a smartphone.
Yeah, but I don't know. I gotta say that the iPhone was one of the, other than calendaring, the iPhone was the first smartphone that I ever used where I actually did anything that wasn't like pretty much just using it as a phone. So I don't know. We'll see. I
love HTC phones though. I have a history of really liking HTC as a brand. So I have high hopes for them in the future, especially for this one.
We look forward to seeing it.
We look forward to seeing what happens. Anyhow, are you ready to get some work done around here? No?
No. There's been teething. I'm done with work.
Oh, wait.
I'm not teething. You're not teething.
Wait, we have to talk about our drink.
Your drink. I'm afraid of energy drinks. You were like, oh my God, there's an energy beverage and it's called Rev 3.
Yeah, so this is really funny. I was on Twitter the other day and someone sent me a message and I actually responded to him by name. His name is escaping me right now.
This is not an advertiser, we should point out, by the way.
We're not advertising this. I've not yet tried it. I'm going to try it on the air live for the first time.
You'll get the pure facial reaction.
This drink is called Rev 3. I think it's supposed to be, Rev to the third.
Okay.
And we don't actually, we're not technically called Rev 3.
We are Revision 3.
We are Revision 3, so we don't have any kind of...
This isn't our beverage.
This is not our beverage, and we can't sue them for the name or anything, to my knowledge. It says cleaner, smarter, stronger. I don't really know what cleaner means precisely.
Some weird stuff in there.
It looks okay. There is some weird stuff on there, like aloe vera, grapeseed extract,
or HCl,
olivol, which is olive oil extract, olive extract. Sorry,
crack it open. Let's see the facial expression. It can't be any stranger than like Monster.
I have not yet tried this at all, by the way. So.
And I'm going to take a step.
Ooh, it smells like grapefruit.
And it tastes.
It tastes kind of like, it's not bad. It's not bad. It tastes kind of like grapefruit and something else, like
chalk?
Candy. No, not chalk.
Obviously, it's addictive because you can't describe the taste, but she's already sucking down more.
I'm trying to get, I'm being like a Gary Vaynerchuk. I have to get
you a spit bucket?
I have to get my little like
swirl.
Taste on here.
Sniffy sniff.
Adrian writes,
it's not bad.
What does Adrian write? Do you have any recommendations for a cheap, quiet mouse?
Ooh.
My current mouse works fine, but the click of the mouse is too loud. I sometimes play games late at night, and I'm afraid that I'll wake someone up with all my clicking. Adrian.
Well, yes, actually, we do have quite a few gaming mouse recommendations, but one in particular, Roger and Patrick leapt from their little veal fattening pens, I mean, cubicles, with joy when they saw this question. Why? Because you guys must own literally like a dozen IntelliMouses.
Between the two of us.
IntelliMice?
IntelliMice.
Microsoft IntelliMice?
Well, isn't that the plural? IntelliMouses?
So. IntelliMouses?
IntelliMices?
Why do you like them so much?
Okay, well, if you're not the kind of mad gamer that wants extra buttons to adjust your DPI from like 200 to 2000 DPI, because I need maximum sensitivity when I'm like crushing.
Crushing!
You know, a set of adjustable swing weights, a la the Logitech G9 or the MS Sidewinder gaming mouse, wait for a sale and buy a Microsoft IntelliMouse. 15 bucks usually, and generally they even sell 18, 19 bucks in an OEM pack. They last forever. They work through dust, spilled coffee, peanut butter, though they don't work very well on clear glass countertops. They work on Macs and PCs, lefty or righty. They have a great scroll wheel, they have extra programmable buttons, and yes, the main right-left buttons are quiet, like little dormice.
Nice.
And I literally own, like every computer in my house has some generation of the IntelliMouse pretty much at this point. They're cheap, they work, they never fall apart. I literally own a half dozen of them, so does Roger. They are the go-to mouse for general use.
I do have the Logitech gaming mouse. I think it's the G9 maybe.
Do you have the one with the swing weights?
It has no swing weights.
That's probably the G9.
That's the G9? Okay.
I think the G5. Maybe they both do.
It's blue and black, like kind of blue and black molted, and it's
Maybe
got
it's
side
the
buttons.
Razer.
It's nice. I like it.
I'm just not enough of a cool guy gamer to take advantage of adjustable swing weights.
I love my mouse, but I've been using my, you guys are gonna laugh at me because this is such a stupid thing to do. I'm using my Mac keyboard with my gaming PC because I used to plug it into my laptop and I haven't gotten around to getting a standard PC keyboard yet. And it is just not good. It is not ergonomic. The buttons don't work the way they're supposed to. I could remap them, but I haven't taken the time to do that. It's just, I need a good gaming board. Have you tried the Z boards?
I literally, all of my gaming, when I get my gaming freak on, I have this drawer full of ancient Alps keys, IBM keyboards that are like 15 years old, and they make the giant mechanical click.
No, I want a keyboard with macros and all sorts of stuff. I want like a nice gaming keyboard. But I played literally probably about 30 hours of Oblivion this weekend.
I know somebody who's tested every gaming keyboard out there.
Who would that be?
I'll tell you about it later.
Okay, all right.
We'd like to take time out to thank one of the sponsors of today's show, Beck's. Germany's #1 export beer by volume. Beck's is different by choice. And to celebrate that heritage, Beck's has created the Key Club. As you might know, the key is the iconic graphic on the Beck's beer label, taken from the coat of arms in the founding city, Bremen, Germany. Open to any Beck's drinker, it's Beck's way of rewarding their loyal customers with access to special events, exclusive content, and free Beck's gear, like this spectacular Beck's Stein holder. So sign up today at beckskeyclub.com and unlock the possibilities.
Welcome to this week's Freebie Download Pick, a free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. This week's pick, the beloved 3D Traceroute. Here on TechZilla, we've probably shown you a half dozen or so networking tools that let you track, identify, and pinpoint a variety of network problems. But none are as visually engaging as 3D Traceroute. Just pop in a URL or IP address and 3D Traceroute will output the packet stats as a color 3D graph with adjustable X and Y axes for easy viewing. And while the name might sound like a one-trick pony, 3D Traceroute is also pretty useful for Whois lookups, as a port scanner, HTTP server spy, email header analyzer, a connection viewer, a telnet terminal. Well, there's just a lot of tools built into it. Now, if you step up to the paid version of 3D Traceroute Pro, you'll also get more elaborate tools to drill down to the nitty-gritty of packet tracking. But for most people, 3D Traceroute should be more than sufficient. So give it a go. You might just look at packet traffic in an entirely different way.
All right, no more. I think we've had quite enough of this energy drink during that break. I think it's time to help some people.
You don't want any more Rev 3?
No, I'm going to continue to drink it, but I'm done talking about it.
Sean writes in, I'm having problems. BitTorrent is super slow. I have forwarded. Did you just do the dreaded wah 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 noise? That's so mean.
Sorry,
Sean's
continue.
having problems. Veronica's being cruel. BitTorrent BitTorrent is super slow. He's got forwarding and triggering turned on. He's put his machine on a static IP, but his client still says that he's firewalled. What else can I do to fix this?
Well, we talked to Sean and found out the name of his ISP, and after a bit of Googling around, we suspect that your ISP is throttling all BitTorrent traffic. And there are a lot of folks chatting about this on places like broadbandreports.com about slow P2P traffic on your ISP. So what's that mean? You should probably find a new ISP, unfortunately, sorry to tell you, as bandwidth throttling programs get more and more sophisticated in the way they analyze the packets traveling on the network. Encrypting your traffic won't keep them from detecting what you're doing.
That was one of the frontline defenses. Like I encrypted my traffic, and
I'm safe.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're not.
Now you're not, because they're basically doing some pretty amazing stateful awareness. They analyze the behavior of the packets less than they analyze the content of the packets. And you're probably hosed, Sean. I'm sorry.
Oh.
But you have sorted out one of the primary problems a lot of people have getting BitTorrent to run fast. But for everybody at home who might be having differing issues with BitTorrent speeds, here are our top tips for speeding up BitTorrent. 1, do what Sean did. Open your ports. You need to have port forwarding and triggering turned on, which allows your BitTorrent client to talk to the rest of the cloud. Well, the BitTorrent swarm, actually. Make sure you have them set up for UDP and TCP. You need both. And if you manually configure these, turn off UPnP in your client, because if you're not running it on your router, it's no point, and it can create problems for some clients. You could also just run UPnP on your router, and that'll take care of all this, well, automatically, in theory. Now, if you have a software firewall, in addition to, say, a hardware router firewall, you need to allow UDP and TCP for your BitTorrent client ports and allow your client, this is critical, to accept incoming connections. Seeding.
Seeding is a big one.
Seeding
don't
is
be
a
that
huge
guy.
one.
Don't be that guy that doesn't seed things back.
Yeah.
And just leeching and sucking everything down.
That's bad. And basically, if you don't seed, you also get less bandwidth, because that's the way BitTorrent was designed, to reward people who share.
That's nice.
And smack down the leeches. Upload speed?
Yes, upload speed. Try 80% of the upload speed claimed by your ISP. And try throttling it back, actually, to see if that helps speed things up. I know it doesn't really make sense.
It's all
sounds
counterintuitive.
Totally counterintuitive, but it actually works sometimes.
Yeah, it's like sometimes sharing less equals receiving more.
Are you a giver or a taker? That's what it comes down to.
Sounds like a lot of dating I did in high school. Find a good seed. It seems pretty obvious, but don't expect miracles. If there are like no seeds and few peers in the swarm of the file you want, you're going to get super low download speeds. Check to see if there are other torrents with a higher number of seeds with the same content available. What does that mean? Trying different torrent listing sites. Search, 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 search.
I mean, a lot of times there's multiple, torrents there.
Right.
You just have to make sure you're checking for ones that are being seeded.
And most clients basically, like when they look at you're searching and you basically see that with the health meter for that particular torrent, if there's a whole bunch of people seeding that file, it's usually going to be a lot faster.
And chances are it's probably a better file too.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
We're hoping.
We're hoping.
It doesn't always work that way.
And finally, do you want to do this one?
Not even a little bit.
Okay. Make sure no one else is hogging your bandwidth. If you think you're getting throttled by our ISP, find out. None of this will help if, like Sean, your ISP packet shapes BitTorrent traffic.
Or if for some reason you've got your router configured to allow VoIP conversations priority, and like all 3 of your brothers are constantly Skyping to people.
Oh, hey, yeah. Go back and watch our episode all about bandwidth throttling and find out if other people in your house are doing that or on your network, and then maybe you throttle some of it back to you, back to your BitTorrent stuff.
You'd be shocked what
by
people
application,
will do.
even.
Time for another video email?
Yes, it is. Take it away, Dave.
Hey Patrick and Veronica, when I was running Tiger, without any real configuration, it could pick up all the Vista machines on my network. But since upgrading to Leopard, I haven't seen the shared section of the sidebar in over a year. Can you help me get those machines back?
So Dave is having problems with Leopard, I see.
Leopard issues.
Leopard issues. Well, Leopard did actually change things around when it comes to sharing preferences. In Leopard, as opposed to Tiger, there's no longer a window sharing boop in the sharing preferences. So that might be something you've probably noticed going through all this stuff. Leopard uses SMB to share files to PC, which is pretty standard. And also, both your Mac and PC need to be under the same workgroup name.
And that's one that, there's a bunch of people out there like, don't insult us. We know this. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people just forget, especially when you add a new machine to the mix.
Right.
You need to bank the work group
a lot of people have a PC and a Mac at home, and maybe they've never even thought about sharing files between the two of them, or they have, and they just didn't really know how. They turned on sharing, and they're like, okay, well, it's not working. This should be way easier than it actually is becoming.
Then there's the whole NTFS, HFS, sorry.
We won't get into that today. Anyhow, head into your network and sharing on Vista and make sure all your file sharing is on, first of all, which it probably is because you had it working when your Mac was on Tiger anyhow. So the PC side for you is probably okay. Then you want to go into sharing preferences. I'm trying to visualize this all in my head. Go into sharing preferences in Leopard, and under options you can turn on the SMB. That's where you do that. And then cruise over to the network settings and then go to advanced, and then there's the Wins tab, and that's where you can change the workgroup name.
This is much deeper
for Leopard
in Leopard networking than I have ever gone.
I know. Well,
I'm impressed. You are far ahead and I'm behind with like the flashlight
Mac to Mac
going.
it works okay, but then you're still going to need, when you're going from your PC to your Mac, you're going to need your username and password for your Mac machine to get into that, and then it should be okay.
Is there a list of written instructions one could consult?
Be okay. There is actually written instructions on a kind of unlikely source, which I realize actually has pretty good info for a lot of this kind of stuff.
What's that?
It's max.about.com. About.com. They have a really, really thorough set of instructions with images and everything.
And we will have a link.
Very, very impressive. Now, if you want to get your 15 seconds of internet fame, send us a video. All you need to do is record yourself in front of a video camera asking a question no longer than 15 seconds. Then upload them to the YouTubes and email us the link with video question in the subject line. No attachments, please. Thank you. Okay, thanks. Bye.
It's time now to thank one of our sponsors, Domain.com. Tekzilla fans, attention! Josh R. from Wisconsin picked up 3 domains and won a $500 Apple gift card. The good news, Domain.com is giving away more of them. Register new domains or transfer your existing domains and you'll be automatically entered into Domain.com's bi-weekly drawing. There is no limit to the number of entries, so check out Domain.com for all your domain and web hosting needs. Plus, because you're a Tekzilla fan, we got the hookup for you. Coupon code TEK1, that's TEK1, you'll score 25% off on domain registrations, domain transfers, and web hosting. We're talking domains under $7, so get over to Domain.com for your chance to win a $500 Apple gift card today. See the rules and enter the giveaway at www.domain.com/Tekzilla. Got a great idea? It all starts with a great domain, Domain.com. Support Tekzilla by supporting our sponsors.
Looks like it's time for another websites we just can't get enough of. A website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. This week's pick comes from our Tekzilla forums, courtesy of Shembazuru. Shembazuru's recommendation, factcheck.org. In case you haven't noticed, it's election season. That means that candidates from both sides will be slinging misinformation to try to sway and confuse voters. Factcheck.org, however, seeks to bring the truth to light. Initially, I was a little concerned about anything that calls itself nonpartisan, but after looking it over, and more importantly after Roger, who loves talking about this kind of stuff, looked it over, I'm hard-pressed to find these facts colored by opinion. And I was also reassured that they accept no funding from business corporations, labor unions, political parties, lobbying organizations, or individuals. And, hell, they call out everyone on their crap equally. For each sensationalist comment that comes through their doors, factcheck.org will write it up, followed by an analysis debunking the statement. It's followed up by numerous sources citing the information, so you can go through and check it all out for yourself. They even have a weekly video cast that highlights some of the most popular topics from that week. So if you want to make the most informed decision possible this November, make factcheck.org one of your regular stops. So we've been receiving a steady stream of requests for a GPS roundup of sorts, like these emails from John and Mike. John writes, I've been traveling a lot lately and I've been thinking about buying a GPS system. I'm willing to pay some good cash, but I don't want to spend more than $300, preferably $250. Is there anything I need to watch out for, like subscription fees or services I might want but have to pay for? John. And then Mike writes, I just started driving and I'm looking for a good sub-$200 GPS system for my car. I don't need MP3 playback or video functions, just navigation. Can you please check out some GPS systems that fit this descriptions? So, we have quite a few here.
We do, actually.
For basic navigation, John, there shouldn't be any subscription fees. Things like live traffic data services for GPS machines with a wireless data connection are often free the first year and like $60 a year after that. You'll have to do your homework for anything that promises access to data/live info. That's when you usually get hit with those fees.
And the fees aren't too bad, but I think they start to add up after a while. And Mike, do us a favor, promise us, you're a new driver, promise us. Remember that thing at the top of the show about the texting and the danger and the death and the mayhem?
Don't do the boop boop while you're doing the...
Exactly. Listen to the GPS navigator and don't stare at the screen, and program it before you pull out of your driveway, not while you're driving.
And right, and make sure you don't live in a state that has the law against having it actually on the window. Like suction to the window.
Which is a new thing they had passed in California, actually.
Is that in California too?
Yes.
I don't know these things because I don't drive. So.
Well, pretty much all these have a mount that's a window suction mount, and they also have a thing you can basically, double stick tape and you put in your dashboard if you don't mind,
But the dash is okay, right? That's not illegal.
Yeah, the dash is okay. You can block the bottom of your windshield or the top of your windshield as long as you don't do it by attaching something to the windshield. It's law. It's not about being sensible. It's about being legal. So, sub $200 GPSs, and we're talking well under $200 GPSs. We're talking a 3.5-inch screen, 3D views, an expansion slot oftentimes for additional memory for point of interest data. Fairly clear voice, not like a scary machine voice, but an actual voice that sounds like a people. It's human-y. In some cases, text-to-speech for street names. So, instead of turn left in 100 yards, it's turn left at 3rd Street in 100 yards. And all three of these actually have touch screens, a single button for power reset, and have built-in batteries so you don't have to hang the cable from your windshield all the time, which gets really annoying. Really annoying. I hate the cables hanging down from the windshield. First up, Mio's Move 200, $150. This is solid low-cost navigation. It's a new generation of OS software for Mio, which is a little strange. So it's basically, if you're used to Mio, it's a new interface. It's got a Surstar 3 GPS unit inside of it, and it found sats ridiculously fast, especially if you restart it. There's a little sort of reset button on the unit. It has multi-segment routing, so you basically put cool waypoints in. Text-to-speech was good, except it just skips unusual street names like Cesar Chavez.
It just gives up? It's just like, meh.
Well, it goes from like, turn right on 3rd Street to turn right instead of saying Cesar Chavez. So I guess it's probably better than having, remember the old school experience where we'd have like, Cesare Chavez.
Oh, I was on driving around in a rental in LA. I do actually know how to drive. I just don't own a car in San Francisco. Let's just make that clear.
Which is pretty reasonable.
And it was one of the, what was it? It might have been
the Hertz Everlost
It was a Garmin.
program?
I believe it was a Garmin. And we got on La Cienega. And it was, I don't even remember what it said, but it was so far away. We're like, wait, is this the right street? What did she just say? What was that? It was really funny.
Well, it's like Houston.
That story was funnier in my brain than it was actually saying it out loud.
I've been there. It's like hearing a tour going, where is Houston Street?
Where is Houston Street? You're like, you're not from New York, are you,
It's Houston. Don't ask. Anyhow. Point of interest searching could be a lot smoother inside the Mio. Difficult navigations, it's a bit, because basically you kind of have to dig a little harder than you should need to find stuff like, the nearest bank or whatever it is. It felt a bit slow, as in underpowered, especially when it was searching the database, but it did a really good job, amazing job of recalculating routes if you missed a turn. Or in my case, like, I knew I wanted to cut through a park because the park would be faster, and instead of being like, stop, I'm recalculating, wait, it just sort of very smoothly transitioned to the next possible road, which I thought was really cool. There's going to be a free map update for 2009 on this. Usually the map updates cost like $70 from Mio.
Wow.
Yes, that's something actually to be aware of. So,
TomToms.
TomTom 130, also $150 if you shop carefully. The Easy Port, the mount for this, is like the best mount I've ever seen for GPS. Not a huge range on this, but nav's good, search for points of interest isn't too bad. The free home software, which is available from TomTom, adds services like local gas prices is pretty slick, is compatible with this one. It's something that's worth considering, and they have a sort of user-updated map interface, so that's actually pretty slick, so people can actually point out that a street's wrong or missing.
Oh, that's
there's something, that used to be one of my big tests, is my mom's street in Long Beach Island, which is like 50 years old, never showed up on maps until like the last 5 years.
Long Beach Island makes me happy because I used to go there.
LBI.
LBI.
LBI FTW. Should we go to the last one real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Garmin
the Garmin Nuvi.
New low price series from Garmin, the 205. Clean navigation, really great. Great search for an address. It's really easy to find stuff inside of this. It has posted speed limits for the roads you're on the screen.
Oh, that's good.
It's awesome, actually, because I found out just the other day that one of the streets I thought was 35 in my neighborhood is actually 25. Better sat acquisition than the new V200. The new V200 was kind of notorious for taking forever. This one still takes a lot longer than the Mio to acquire satellites. No text to speech, which doesn't really bother me. I really like the Where Am I function. Basically, you click through Tools, Where Am I, and you get your location and your latitude and longitude, which a lot of the older Garmin devices wouldn't give you. It gives you the nearest intersections. Sometimes the nearest intersection was way off by like 5 or 6 blocks. But what it did have that worked really well was buttons for hospitals, police stations, and fuel that you could get to really, really quickly. Major downside, recalculating routes when you took a wrong turn was really slow. And a big downer, map updates are $65 on CD for the 2009.
Yeah, I've had some not great experience with Garmin Nuvies in the past. I mean, they're newer models, the ones that are a little more on the high-end side that are going for like $800. I mean, those are pretty good. They're not bad. But some of the lower-end models that you get with like a rental car, I mean, it took a long time to find out where you were. And also, there's a lot of trouble when you're in a big city sometimes, too. If you're surrounded by tall buildings, the satellite can have a tendency to lose you.
Well, that's not specific to
that's not specific to this model or brand. It's just an issue. I've just not had a lot of good luck with GPS units in the past, except for the Dash, but that is not within your price range. So we'll talk about that a different day.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some more expensive GPS devices last week. One of the interesting things about the Garmin Nuvi, JPEG picture viewer, world travel clock with time zones. A couple of these actually have a whole bunch of bizarre stuff buried inside of them that may be worth checking out.
Speaking of bizarre stuff, I only wear socks that are bold in color. Hugh, hurry and order a pair of socks. One pair of socks is never enough.
It was Patrick? A box. It was in my house.
It's a lovely pink box.
Just because you have a Hello Kitty fear doesn't mean I should be afraid of pink boxes.
You shouldn't be afraid of pink boxes.
There are a lot of different ways to approach GPS devices. I'm kind of curious what you guys are most interested in about them. Do you want speeds and feeds? How many seconds did it take to find the satellites? Or you're mocking?
No, I'm not. Continue, please.
You're crying. You're laughing so hard.
Keep going.
We're going to thank one of our sponsors right now while Veronica goes and sobs softly with laughter and joy. Gobi! Gobi gives you the freedom to go anywhere without fear of losing an internet connection. One wireless device built into your notebook that supports both EVDO and WCDMA GSM technology. In effect, the world is your hotspot. With Gobi's multi-mode support, you can get global connectivity without the hassle of extra data cards, dongles, or devices. Less to carry, fewer support issues, and a lot easier to handle, especially for IT departments. Because Gobi gives you multiple carriers and one device that supports multiple technologies, companies can now procure and support a single notebook SKU for every user anywhere in the world. To learn more, check out www.gobianywhere.com/devices to find the perfect notebook for you. Support Techzilla by supporting our sponsors. All right, Veronica, you ready to tackle more tough tech questions?
I'm ready to go. I'm feeling revved up. Ready to go.
With the puns.
David sends a very interesting question. He writes, I recently purchased a tri-core AMD processor and I'm very happy with its processing speed and quickness in accessing applications and games. I haven't heard anything about the 3-core versus the traditional 2- and 4-core processors. Is it just a fluke that mine is working so well, or is there something that the 3 cores do very well? Well, we talked a little bit about that last week, actually,
really?
I think.
I wasn't here.
That's true, you weren't there.
So
I forgot already.
AMD's Phenom X3 processor usually has like the 8000 label. It's AMD's latest generation of multi-core CPUs. It's made in 2- and 4-core designs. Turns out when AMD tests each quad-core CPU, basically they test each individual core on each quad-core CPU. If one fails or runs slower than the other 3, the processor is marked and the defective core is disabled or fused, so it has no chance of being reactivated at the user end. What are we talking about? Well, it's basically a part that doesn't live up to 4 cores, but it has 3 good cores, and AMD now has another model for their lineup and saves on scrapping a quad-core processor because of one bad core, because, right, they can't sell it as a quad-core processor. Plus, you can still use the same motherboard and RAM, and since it's all the same chip, you don't have to worry about upgrading to a 4-core version later on. So far, the reviews have been positive. positive, and the performance, well, it basically falls right in between the 2-core and the 4-core versions.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Extreme Tech's Lloyd Case says, about the triple-core Phenom, know that at its factory frequency, it's a solid contender in the mid-range CPU market. That's high praise from Lloyd's. Enthusiasts should note that the non-black version, the black editions have unlocked CPU multipliers. The non-black version of the Phenom processors have been a bit more difficult to overclock, so don't expect to squeeze too much more over the stock settings. Also be aware that the prices between the 3 and 4-core Phenom variants of the same clock speed can differ as little as $20, so shop around. 3-core processors, definitely a solid choice. Should be faster than dual cores. Just make sure if you're buying like a processor in a box or a processor in an OEM package that you make sure you can't just pay another $20 and get that quad-core processor.
Yeah, we did touch on that a little bit last week.
Getting the quad-core excitement on.
Yeah, well, we talked about the 3-core a little bit, but you have definitely laid it out much more easily to understand now for future viewers. You got your nerd on for sure.
It's like 2, except it's 3. It's less than 4.
It's like 2, and it's kind of like 4, but it's a little better than 2. Not quite as good as 4.
That's why we call it 3.
That's why it's 3. Exactly. So we have a question from Kenny as our final question today.
Hi, Kenny.
Hi, Kenny. He says, I have a Dell Inspiron 531S AMD Athlon 64 X2 PC running Vista, and I want to upgrade to a video card with HDMI that supports HDCP. What do you recommend?
Something cheap.
Something cheap,
If you're not basically using this for gaming, you don't need to spend a lot of money. HDCP means to me you probably want Blu-ray or HD/DVD decoding, probably Blu-ray, and you don't need a whole lot of graphics processor GPU to make that happen. Biggest concern here, you have that narrow case from Dell. It's a pretty cool looking case, but it's thin. You probably actually need a half-height card to fit in that slimline case.
Our buddy Jason Cross over at ExtremeTech.com, which we are pimping out today, just did a mini roundup of under $100 GPUs. He suggests ATI's Radeon HD 4670. Doesn't require too much power or a PCIe power plug, and it will do Blu-ray acceleration, and it had HDCP covered.
Yeah, if you want, the biggest thing is I don't know why I'm pointing to this. This is something.
Hello.
You hold that.
Okay.
I'll talk about this. So the 531S, it's skinny. I don't know. I can't quite figure out from Dell's web pages if it's going to require a half-height card, but I'm pretty sure it will. And if you do want to do more gaming, spend another $40 on a card. Read Jason's article; it'll tell you kind of like the next step up to get a huge bump in gaming performance. And for everybody watching, do us a favor. We live on your questions. Email us, techzilla@revision3.com. Tech Help product reviews, how-tos. You ask us, we'll do it, including if you ask us a review of the Dell Studio Hybrid, which I have in for a system project, but I thought people might be interested in because I think it'll make an amazing home theater PC.
I just realized at the very end of the show, I'm like, well, all we did was talk about how cool it was that the graphics on the thing change when you flip it over. Why is this here?
Well, we'll talk about that.
Other than being adorable.
We'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
We need those emails. Where do people send them?
You send them into techzilla@revision3.com, or even better, send us in your video questions. You do that, like I said, load them up on YouTube and send us in an email with the subject line, video question,
no
15 seconds, no attachments, as you know. And as always, you can visit our forums at revision3.com/forum. You can find more details on the site. Oh, and don't miss this week's Totally Rad show. Do you like comic books? Do you like video games?
Yes.
Do you like TV and movies?
More than I'll ever admit.
All right, then you probably need to catch this week's Totally Rad show.
Featuring Alex, Jeff, Dan, as they review, reminisce, and analyze pop geek culture. New episodes every Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you haven't seen their take, well, you know what? There's some comedy. We'll put a link.
You're missing out, pal.
Yeah.
You're missing out.
It's good. Check it out. Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, revision3.com/TRS.
TRS. Thank you guys for watching.
Until next time, you've been watching Techzilla.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Bye.
Boy, is your boyfriend going to be miffed when I show up?
Drink Rev 3.
It'd be so funny if we're like...
Ha! Go.
I'm surrounded by
Go.
boards.
That does not go in the bloopers, by the way. That does not go in the bloopers. Whoever's editing this, I will end you. I'll end you. I will end you. I will end you.
You guys all set?
I think it's.
Oh, sorry. I think it's time. It was too much at once.
Sorry.